March 19th, 1840, San Antonio. A peace conference is about to become a bloodbath, and in 30 seconds of chaos, the relationship between Texas and the Comanche Nation will be destroyed forever. To understand what happened in the council house on that March day, you need to understand the world it happened in. This is 1840. The Republic of Texas is 4 years old, still figuring out how to survive, still fighting for legitimacy, and still struggling to control its vast western frontier. That frontier belongs to the Comanche. For nearly 2 centuries, the Comanche have dominated the southern plains. They're the most powerful Native American nation on the continent, masters of cavalry warfare, controllers of trade routes, feared by Spanish, Mexican, and now Texan settlers alike. The Comanche Empire, historians call it now, and in 1840, it's still very much in control. But things are changing. Anglo settlers are pushing west, building towns, claiming land, disrupting the careful balance of power that's existed for generations. The Comanches raid these settlements. It's what they've always done. They take horses, supplies, and occasionally captives. It's part of their economy, their culture, their way of life. To the Texans, it's terrorism. It's savagery. It's an existential threat that must be stopped. Both sides believe they're in the right. Both sides believe the other is the aggressor, and neither side truly understands the other's perspective. This is the world on March 19th, 1840. 2 civilizations on a collision course. And today, they're going to collide in the worst possible way. The immediate cause of the council house fight is a girl named Matilda Lockhart. Matilda is 13 years old when Comanche raiders capture her in 1838. She's taken from her family's homestead along with her younger sister. For 18 months, she lives as a captive in Comanche camps on the high plains. What happens to her during those 18 months is difficult to talk about. The historical records are clear but brutal. She's abused, tortured. Her nose is burned off, leaving exposed cartilage. Her body bears scars from repeated beatings. When negotiations begin in early 1840 for the return of white captives, Matilda Lockhart is among those the Comanches agree to return. But here's where things get complicated. The Texan negotiators, led by Colonel William Cook and 3 commissioners appointed by President Mirabeau Lamar, have made their terms clear. The Comanches must return all white captives. All of them. If they do, the Republic will establish a firm boundary line and guarantee peace. It seems straightforward, but it isn't. The Comanches don't have centralized authority. There's no Comanche government that can order all bands to release all captives. Each band operates independently. Each chief makes his own decisions. The group coming to San Antonio is primarily from the Penateka Band, one of the southern Comanche groups. They're bringing Matilda Lockhart and 1 other captive as a gesture of good faith. They expect to negotiate for goods in exchange. Then they assume there will be future negotiations for other captives held by other bands. This is how Comanche diplomacy works. Gradual, relationship-based, built on personal connections between leaders. But the Texans don't understand this. They think the Comanches are playing games, holding back captives deliberately, testing Texan resolve. President Lamar has issued secret orders to Colonel Cook and the commissioners. If the Comanches don't bring all the captives, take the Comanche negotiators hostage. Hold them until every white prisoner is returned. It's a catastrophically bad plan. But Lamar believes it will work. He believes the Comanches will cave to pressure. that they'll value their chiefs more than their captives. He's wrong. Terribly, fatally wrong. On March 19, 1840, approximately 65 Comanches arrive in San Antonio for the Peace Council. It's a significant delegation. 12 chiefs, including leaders like Maguara and several other respected band chiefs. They bring warriors, women, and children. About 35 warriors, the rest family members. This is important. You don't bring women and children to a council if you're expecting violence. This is a delegation that believes it's coming in peace. They're dressed in their finest. Elaborate buckskin, feathers, paint. This is formal diplomatic dress. They're showing respect for the occasion. And they bring Matilda Lockhart. 13 years old, barely recognizable from the girl who was captured 18 months ago. When the Texans see Matilda, they're horrified. Her injuries are shocking, the burned nose, the scars. She's emaciated, traumatized, barely able to speak. One Texan official, Mary Maverick, is there with her family. She'll later write about seeing Matilda. Her head, arms, and face were full of bruises and sores, and her nose was actually burned off to the bone. Both nostrils were wide open and denuded of flesh. The sight of this brutalized child inflames the Texans' worst fears and prejudices. This is what they've been saying all along. The Comanches are savages, monsters, irredeemable, but they don't understand the context. In Comanche culture, captives are often adopted into families. Some are treated well and integrated into the tribe. Others, particularly those who resist or are seen as troublesome, are treated harshly. Matilda, according to historical accounts, fought back. She refused to adapt. She tried to escape multiple times. In Comanche eyes, she brought her punishment on herself. This doesn't excuse the abuse, but it explains it. And it highlights the vast cultural divide between these two worlds. The Comanches have no idea how the Texans will react to Matilda's condition. They don't realize they've just brought evidence that will be used to justify their own destruction. The meeting takes place in the council house, a one-story stone building in San Antonio. It's a small space, maybe 30 feet by 40 feet. Not much room for 65 Comanches and dozens of Texan officials, soldiers, and observers. The Comanches are directed to sit on the ground in the center of the room. The chiefs in front, warriors behind them, women and children in the back. Texas soldiers line the walls, armed, watching. Colonel William Cook, the Texan military commander, conducts the negotiations through interpreters. The conversation is tense from the start. The Texans ask the question they need answered. Where are the other captives? The Comanche chiefs, primarily speaking through a chief named Maguara, explain. The other captives are with other bands. We don't control those bands. We brought the captives we could bring. We've come in good faith to negotiate. The Texans don't accept this. They believe the Comanches are lying, playing games. Through the interpreter, they deliver President Lamar's ultimatum. You must bring all the captives, every single one, or you will be held here as prisoners until they are returned. There's a moment of confusion. The interpreters struggle to convey the meaning. The Comanche chiefs look at each other. They don't understand. This isn't how negotiations work. You don't take a diplomatic delegation hostage. One of the chiefs, Maguara, stands. He's angry now. Through the interpreter, he says something like, "We came in peace. We brought captives as a sign of good faith. We cannot produce captives we do not have." The Texan response is final. "Then you will remain here until they are produced." Soldiers move to the doors, blocking the exits. The Comanches realize what's happening. They're being imprisoned. And that's when everything explodes. No one knows exactly who moves first. Historical accounts differ. But within seconds, the council house becomes a battlefield. One Comanche warrior draws a knife. A soldier raises his rifle. Someone screams. Then gunfire. In the enclosed space, the sound is deafening. Smoke fills the room instantly. People are screaming, running, fighting. The Comanche warriors fight with knives and tomahawks. Some have bows. They're trying to reach the doors, trying to protect the women and children. The Texan soldiers are firing point blank into the crowd. Rifles, pistols. The walls are lined with armed men, and they're all shooting. It's not a battle. It's a massacre. In an enclosed space, the Comanches have no chance. Chief Muguara charges toward the door. He's cut down by rifle fire. Falls near the entrance. Other warriors rush the soldiers. Some make it to the doors. Some break through. But most are shot before they can escape. The women and children are caught in the crossfire. Some are hit by stray bullets. Others are trampled in the chaos. A few manage to hide behind furniture or press themselves against walls. Outside, Comanche warriors who weren't in the council house hear the gunfire. They grab weapons and rush toward the building. But more Texan soldiers are converging. The battle spills into the streets of San Antonio. Comanches run through the town, trying to escape. Texan soldiers and armed civilians chase them. Shots ring out from buildings, from alleyways. It's chaos. Some Comanches make it to where their horses are tied and try to ride out of town. Soldiers shoot them from their saddles. Others are cornered in buildings and killed. One group of warriors makes a stand in a courtyard. They're surrounded and shot down. The entire fight lasts maybe 30 minutes. But most of the killing in the council house happens in the first minute. When the smoke clears, the scene is nightmarish. Bodies everywhere. Blood pooling on the floor. The stone walls pockmarked with bullet holes. The smell of gunpowder and death. The casualty count is devastating. 35 Comanches dead. All 12 chiefs, most of the warriors, 7 women, several children. 27 Comanches are taken prisoner, mostly women and children. A few wounded warriors. On the Texan side, 7 dead, 8 wounded. By any military calculation, it's a crushing Texan victory. They've killed or captured the entire delegation. They've eliminated 12 chiefs in one blow. They've demonstrated their military superiority. But strategically, it's a disaster. The Comanches, who escaped, ride north. They carry news of the massacre. They describe how the Texans invited a peace delegation and slaughtered them. How they killed chiefs under a flag of truce. How they murdered women and children. The reaction across the Comancheria is immediate and furious. This isn't just an insult. It's a violation of everything sacred. Diplomatic delegations are supposed to be safe. That's a universal rule among the Plains tribes. You can hate your enemy, but you don't kill negotiators. The Texans have broken that rule, and the Comanches will respond. 4 months later, August 1840, the Comanches launch the largest raid in Texas history. Chief Buffalo Hump, one of the most powerful Comanche war leaders, assembles a force of over 600 warriors. It's an unprecedented gathering. Multiple bands united by rage and the desire for revenge. They don't just raid the frontier. They ride all the way to the coast, to Victoria, to Linville, towns that have never seen Comanche raiders. They burn, they kill, they take captives, they steal thousands of horses, and they send a message. What happened at the council house will not be forgotten. The Great Raid terrifies the Republic. It proves that the Comanches are still powerful, still dangerous, and now deeply, permanently hostile. Eventually, Texas Rangers and militia catch up with Buffalo Hump's force at Plum Creek. There's a running battle. The Comanches are defeated, but they inflict casualties and many escape. The cycle of violence escalates. Raids, counter-raids, massacres. For the next 35 years, Texas and the Comanches will be locked in brutal warfare, and it all traces back to 30 seconds in the council house. What happened to Matilda Lockhart? After being freed at the council house, she was cared for by families in San Antonio. Her physical injuries were treated, though the damage to her nose was permanent. She was eventually reunited with surviving family members. She lived another 6 years, died in 1846 at age 19. The causes of her death aren't entirely clear, but it's likely related to the trauma and injuries she suffered as a captive. Her story became a rallying cry for Texas settlers, proof of Comanche brutality, justification for harsh policies and military campaigns. But Matilda's story is more complicated than simple propaganda. She was a child caught between two worlds at war. Her suffering was real, but it was also used, weaponized, turned into a political tool. Did the Comanches treat her brutally? Yes. Historical evidence is clear on that. Did the Texans use her suffering to justify actions that might otherwise be considered war crimes? Also yes. Matilda Lockhart deserved better. She deserved to grow up safe, to live a full life, to not become a symbol in a conflict she had no control over. But that's not what history gave her. The 27 Comanche prisoners taken at the council house faced an uncertain fate. The Republic didn't really know what to do with them. They couldn't release them without getting something in return. But holding them was expensive and politically complicated. Eventually, they were used as bargaining chips. Texan negotiators sent word to the Comanche bands, "We'll exchange your people for white captives." The Comanches responded, but slowly. Some captives were returned, some weren't. The process dragged on for months. Several of the Comanche prisoners died in captivity, disease mostly. The close quarters and poor conditions took their toll. The survivors were eventually released in exchanges over the following year. But they turned to a Comancheria transformed by rage and grief. The families of the dead chiefs mourned. The bands demanded revenge. And the young warriors who'd escaped the council house told and retold the story of what happened, each telling reinforcing the narrative of Texan treachery. From the Texan perspective, the council house fight was justified. They'd set clear terms: return all captives. The Comanches didn't comply. Therefore, they were taken hostage per President Lamar's orders. When the Comanches resisted, the soldiers defended themselves. The deaths were the result of Comanche aggression, not Texan murder. And look at Matilda Lockhart. Look at what they did to that child. How can you negotiate with people who do that? This was the dominant narrative in Texas for decades. The council house fight was a regrettable but necessary action. The Texans had tried diplomacy. The Comanches had proven themselves untrustworthy. Many modern historians take a more critical view. The decision to take the delegation hostage was a catastrophic miscalculation based on cultural ignorance. President Lamar didn't understand how Comanche society worked. He applied Texan political logic to a people who operated under completely different systems. The Penateka chiefs in that council house couldn't produce captives held by other bands any more than the mayor of San Antonio could produce prisoners held in Houston. But Lamar and his commissioners didn't understand that, or didn't care. And their ignorance led directly to the massacre. The Council House fight poisoned relations between Texas and the Comanches for a generation. Before March 1840, there was still hope for some kind of coexistence, some kind of negotiated peace. The Penateka Band in particular had been moving toward accommodation. After the Council House, that hope died. The Comanches would never trust Texan peace offers again. Why would they? The last time they sent chiefs to negotiate, those chiefs were slaughtered. For the next 3 decades, the Texas-Comanche Wars raged. Raid and counter-raid, village burnings, massacres on both sides, endless cycles of revenge. The Comanches eventually lost, not because they were militarily defeated in any single battle, but because of disease, loss of the buffalo, and the sheer weight of settler expansion. By the 1870s, the Comanche Empire was broken. The survivors were confined to reservations. Their way of life was destroyed. And if you trace it back, the Council House fight is a pivotal moment in that decline. It's the moment when accommodation became impossible, when the two sides locked themselves into a death struggle that only one could survive. So what do we make of the Council House fight? It's not a simple story. There are no pure heroes, no clear villains, just people trapped by history, culture, and misunderstanding. The Comanches came to San Antonio believing they were negotiating in good faith. They brought captives, they controlled. They followed diplomatic protocols as they understood them, and they were massacred for it. The Texans believed they were dealing with a hostile power that was holding their people hostage. They saw Matilda Lockhart and concluded the Comanches were irredeemable savages. They took action based on that belief. Both sides were operating from their own logic, their own values, their own understanding of how the world worked. And when those two understandings collided, the result was tragedy. 35 Comanches dead, 7 Texans dead, and the door to peace slammed shut forever. The Council House fight reminds us that history isn't just about facts and dates. It's about human decisions made under pressure, about cultural misunderstandings with lethal consequences, about how quickly situations can spiral out of control when communication fails. It's also a reminder that every historical event involves real people, not abstract forces or inevitable trends, but individual humans making choices. The chiefs who walked into that council house had names, families, histories. They made a decision to try diplomacy, and they died for it. Matilda Lockhart was a real child who suffered real trauma. Her pain was real. So was the way it was used by adults for political purposes. The soldiers who opened fire were following orders, defending themselves, and killing people who 30 seconds earlier had been sitting peacefully. This is history. Complicated, messy, painful, and human. The Council House stands in San Antonio for several more decades before being demolished. No marker indicates where it stood. For a long time, the only memorial to the events of March 19, 1840, is the continuing cycle of violence it sparked. Today, if you search for the story, you'll find it in books, in historical archives, in different tellings that emphasize different aspects. But one thing is clear: March 19, 1840 changed everything. In 30 seconds of gunfire and chaos, two peoples locked themselves into a conflict that would define the Texas frontier for a generation. And everyone involved paid the price. Thanks for watching Texas Tales. If you want to learn more about the complex, often difficult history of Texas, subscribe to the channel. We tell the stories that don't make it into the simple narratives, the complicated ones, the painful ones, the ones that make us think. Because that's what history should do. It should make us think. make us understand that the past was full of real people facing impossible choices, and sometimes those choices had consequences that echoed for generations. Until next time, y'all, remember the past, understand the present, and never forget that history is more complicated than we'd like it to be.